Hey guys, Silver here, and there's been a recent debate going on in the Sonic community on which game is better, Sonic 06 or Sonic Frontiers, with the majority of people saying that Sonic Frontiers is the better game. Well, I'm here to explain why I personally think Sonic 06 is a better game than Frontiers. Now, keep in mind that I am a little biased as I grew up with Sonic 06, and although I won't share my list of favorite Sonic games since I'll likely be doing a ranking video in the future, just know that Sonic 06 is in my top 10 favorite Sonic games of all time, and it isn't even low on that list, it's significantly high. With that being said, I also really like Sonic Frontiers. I think it's really fun and I appreciate how ambitious it is and how they really succeeded in making Sonic cool again. But anyways, the first reason I'd say that Sonic 06 is better than Sonic Frontiers, it would have to be with the story. Now, I don't think this is a topic that anyone could legitimately argue against because obviously Sonic 06 has a better story than Sonic Frontiers and it's not even close. Sonic 06 has multiple cinematic and beautiful looking CGI cutscenes. The story branches through multiple paths between characters, which makes you invested in what each character goes through. New characters like Silver and Mephiles make the story even more memorable and have become iconic members of Sonic's cast, not to mention having some of the best interpretations of characters like Shadow. And do I even need to explain the endgame where Sonic, Shadow, and Silver turn super to defeat the sun god Solaris? And no, that split-second kissing scene doesn't ruin the moment for me at all. Compare all of this to Sonic Frontiers that features boring dialogue with too many force references, pretty bad cutscene animation that somehow looks worse than the game from 2006, and worst of all, the endgame of Sonic Frontiers is incredibly rushed and significantly brings it down. And although they did fix it a bit in Final Horizon, it's still nowhere near as good as Sonic 06's ending. Secondly, when it comes to the gameplay, I think Sonic 06 has more going for it than Sonic Frontiers. Now yes, I will admit that the controls in Sonic Frontiers are way better than the controls of any other playable character in Sonic 06, but even then, I feel like people greatly exaggerate how bad the controls are in Sonic 06. With the exception of characters like Amy, Rouge, and Knuckles, I think every other character plays decent to really good. Sonic, Blaze, and Silver are especially the best playable characters as they have tons of unique and cool abilities, which are definitely better than the multiple playable characters that Sonic Frontiers has. And although their movement and running and jumping might not be the best, they're definitely better than the controls in Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, and I think both of those games still have good gameplay. But when it comes to something that Sonic 06 is significantly better at, it's the level design. Levels like Wave Ocean, Crisis City, Kingdom Valley, and Aquatic Base have lots of fun set pieces, branching pathways, and visually they look amazing, and the variety of locations in Soliana is definitely better than the overused Green Hill Zone of cyberspace, and they even look better than the unique open zones, although I still do like them. Now lastly, when it comes to the polish of both of these games, to tell you the truth, Sonic Frontiers is just as unpolished and as buggy as Sonic 06. I'm sorry, but you can't play through the open zones in Sonic Frontiers and tell me that the whole game doesn't look like a tech demo. It's a pretty good tech demo, but it still doesn't change the fact that Frontiers is significantly unfinished, which is pretty insane considering the game came out 5 years after Sonic Forces. I mean, just think about the awful pop-in in the open world. Even when playing this on the most powerful console, the pop-in is still bad. Not to mention that this game is still using the same Forces model, which just looks so out of place. As previously mentioned also, the story's ending was rushed, but most of all, there was so much cut content in Kronos Island, as it was originally supposed to be much bigger than it was. Chaos Island features way less 3D sections than the others, and the last two islands in the game just reuses the same location and assets from Kronos Island, which is just so lame. With all of these issues, I don't know how people can excuse the lack of polish in Sonic Frontiers, but absolutely despise Sonic 06's lack of polish. Yeah, 06 is glitchy and it has tons of slowdown, but there are barely any game-breaking bugs like people say there are, and most of these bugs you have to go out of your way to find them. What I'm trying to say is that both Sonic 06 and Sonic Frontiers are unpolished and unfinished, so it's not something that can be used to argue why Sonic Frontiers is better. Overall, I love both of these games, but it's because of these reasons that I think Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 is the better game. But anyways, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know which game you think is better, and thank you guys so much for 500 subscribers.